Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over some updates on the E30, and I just want to say, if you don't follow me on Instagram, I want to say the winner of the light was Jimmy B. I'm not even going to try to say your last name. I'll probably chop it up, but he won the light. He's got a pretty cool DC2 Integra. It's a kind of Kanjo style build. So he won the light, and I just want to thank everybody who participated in that, and especially the people that kind of shared the post and stuff. Really helps grow my channel, and I really appreciate that. So, but besides that, let's get into the E30. Sorry for the delays. I've been waiting on parts, and I just haven't done a whole lot of work on the car, but I want to show you some updates of it, and let's get into it. All right, so first off, we'll show you. You can see it's got a front bumper now. These are M3 Evo style front and rear bumpers. It's got a big duck club wide body kit, just kind of mocked up on there. I'll have to show you. I modified the front to fit a little better in my opinion. Some 17x9 Koenig wheels. So I'm gonna go with a bigger wheel now. It's got massive brakes. It's pretty much a manual brake setup. I'll kind of go over that in a minute here. But all right, let's start with one thing at a time. Let's talk about that massive brakes kit. So this is the massive brakes kit. It converts the booster, deletes the booster, converts it to a manual pedal setup. So there'll be, this one is the offset version. So it's got two individual masters. One will feed the front brakes, the other will feed the rear. Then it has, the shaft will come through here, and there will be a balancing rod, and then a cable that goes into the car, so I can adjust the front to rear balance of the car, or the bias. It'll be really nice because I'll be able to dial in the brakes on the car, and that's the biggest thing. When you go manual brakes, a lot of companies like the Honed kit on Hondas, it just deletes the booster, and then they give you one master. And if you use factory proportion valve and stuff, it doesn't really help proportion it. It's still a good kit, still a great kit. I loved using it on my Hondas, but this is more like a pedal box, but you're not having you're using factory pedal assembly, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to start mounting a pedal box and then mess with, I like the geometry of the way the pedals feel. When you put a pedal box in, I feel like you got to really mess with how they sit and just get them comfortable again as a driver. But that's the kit that I'm using there. I'm probably going to start with Tilton 3/4 masters on there and go from there. That's what I was recommended to start with my brake kit and stuff. But I'll get more into that whenever I buy the pieces for the kit. That should be soon. Next up is I think these are like kind of like the Duraflex. They're not Duraflex brand, but they're kind of like the same material. They're just the M3 style front bumper. And then we have the rear back here, which is kind of mocked up. The more and more I look at it, I'm probably going to have to go with side skirts. I think it's going to look weird without, but I'm going to hold off because I really don't want to run side skirts. I want to really simplify the car, and I feel like if I start adding a bunch of stuff, then it's just a bunch of stuff on the car, and I just don't want that. I just want the car super simple. That's why I kind of did the manual brakes and just no power steering, deleted all that, and I'll show you what I'm doing with the, I guess it really isn't making it simple. I'm doing a custom steering column and all that, so just to delete all the factory stuff and make it like real nice, clean simple, I guess. But, all right. Let's go back to that. So the bumpers fit good. The front, I'm really happy with the way it fits inside the crash beam. The rear, as you can see, it's going to need some trimming and it's going to need some help to pull it in. But besides that, they fit pretty good for aftermarket stuff. If anybody wants to know, I'll put the link to where I got them from because it's kind of hard to find those bumpers that are good quality. I didn't want fiberglass for the bumpers. I didn't even want fiberglass for the over fenders, but that's all you can do with the over fenders. So let's go into those over fenders now. The over fenders are Big Duck Club. So the rear I didn't modify. They're just an over fender. They're 25 mil increase on each side. So they're just taped on for now. I'll show you how I'm gonna secure them. But the fronts were a full fender. So they went all the way around and were supposed to bolt in, but I just couldn't get them to fit right with my car. And every car's a little different, so I started to get frustrated, and then after talking with some people, getting some opinions, I decided to cut them and treat them as just like the rear as an over fender. So I'm gonna put riv nuts with bolts all down the top of the fender going back, and then like one right here and one at the bottom. So it'll look like the front and rear will match. I wanted it to be a full fender, but the more and more I played with it, the more and more it just didn't fit right. And here's what I'm gonna use. So I went with Downstar. I like the quality of their washers, and their I use these on all my license plates on my daily drivers and stuff, and the washers and the bolts seem to stay really nice. And then they also give you the riv nut kit. So this is their kit for over fenders. You can either pick the rubber inserts or the actual riv nuts. And if you, sorry for turning the camera around so much, if you've never used riv nuts, look into them. They're pretty cool. There's some metal insert, and you use, it looks like a rivet gun, and you rivet them in a panel, and it's like having a threaded insert in a panel, which once I figured out about them probably 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I was like, where have I been my whole life without these? So let's get more into that, the fenders and stuff. Gosh, I'm sorry for repeating myself today. It's been a little bit since I made a video, so I'm probably rambling and kind of going fast, but I want to continue. I almost stopped making videos, so I kind of want to continue to do this because I think it's really good for me to document this build, and a lot of you want to see this, so I love sharing. It's a lot of work. This has probably been, I've almost been doing it for a year now, and it's been probably one of the hardest things I've done, and it's to keep doing it has been kind of my goal, because usually, if you know me pretty well, I usually kind of not give up, but I get occupied with something else and then I stop, so pretty much give up. So with this, my goal was to just continue to do it, and maybe if I have to take time off here and there, I will, but trust me, this car next year, I will be driving it. It's just when, and all right, enough with that. So the rear fenders, they fit pretty good. I got to do some trimming underneath and stuff. The 17s, so I have an issue. I kept the car 4-lug, and the only company, there's like 3 companies that make new 17s that are wide, but they're not aggressive. So with a wide body, you need a more aggressive fitment. And these are only a 45 offset, 17x9. So I have a 15 mil spacer in there now with the extended studs, and they fit kind of how I want them to. I'm probably gonna end up going with a 20 just to give it a little bit more of a flush look. But with this car, I want them to tuck too. I don't want them to be, most of the guys building newer cars want them to be flush. With this car, I wanted a big wheel, but tucked in a little bit. So I'll show you with the front especially, it's gonna look different. It's not gonna look, it'll kind of look Battleship, like sunk in a little bit, because I run so much camber with this car, but as you can see with the front, if you look from the side, you'll see there's a whole lot of room. But in all reality, this is just leaned up there, but I know where it's gonna sit because of the factory fender underneath there where it sat before. So you could see it's touching almost the inside of the fender. So it's actually really aggressive, but it's not compared to, but I wanna be low. So as you can tell, it's gonna sit in a little bit, but if you look back at the look of the car, I think it's really gonna look good. Can't wait to get the hood back on and test fit all that. And this, I kinda wanna, tell me what you guys think if you've watched this far. I kinda thought about cutting this back and doing like a vent in here to vent into the fender. I don't know if it might just be too much work. I gotta shave all this down and clean it up to make it fit a little bit nicer. But that's the over fenders. I'm going to probably rivet them on soon. I was back and forth so much on whether to use them or not because the fitment at first before I cut them, and so I didn't mount them. So we'll kind of get back to that. Hopefully I'll mount them this week and actually have them bolted on and start actually cutting quarter panel and stuff. But I was kind of nervous to do it because I'm so indecisive sometimes about things that going back and forth isn't good. And if you cut especially. All right, next thing is the dash. So I finished the dash. I put an E46 dash in it. I got to get the vents and stuff in there, the block offs from Hard Motorsports, and I have all the trim pieces and making it look nice. So there's the bracket. I just kind of drilled a hole in it. I just tacked it on there for now, but it's bolted there, one in the center, and then one underneath the airbag. So it's pretty good in there. Next thing I did was, we'll go to the other side to show that. Oh shoot. Breaking fenders now. Okay. Next thing I did was, if you look, oh jeez, messing all kinds of stuff up. This is just temporary mock-up. You can see I took a brake line, if you look closely, and I welded it, and then I slipped a cable around the latch device and crimped it, came up, and then I looped it through so it'll be just a pull cable, and I just did the brake line to keep it all nice and tidy. Turned out pretty good. And let me pick this up. I'm dropping the fire extinguisher. Okay. So that's that. I think everything's the same inside the car. I finished the bracing for the rear and then put the finish panel in. I'm going to probably bond this in with panel bond instead of weld it because it's just so thin. I don't think it would look good welded. That's going to be my battery box, and then this is cool suit. I have some aluminum to make just a square around here to hold this in, and then the actual battery strap will hold this down through. Let's see if we can see on the bottom, if you can see. So that's the bracing. So I just did 2 cross ones and then 2 small ones that way and welded them up. And I'll have to coat all that when I finish the car, but I think that's it. I showed you guys the radiator last time. Oh, I did the bar. I finished the, Kyle helped me bend with his bender a bar, and we did that for the radiator support. I ended up welding it to the frame rails instead of, here, let's take this off real quick. Put this down. So you can see it better. So I ended up bracing the frame, and then I welded it in, and then these are just, I gotta clean these up a little bit, but these are radiator mounts, and then behind here, there's a bung I welded into, a threaded bung is welded into the tube, and then these are welded, so it's just bolted there, and then it goes around the radiator to support the bottom of the radiator. And then you can see I welded those in. Not too bad for some overhead, but yeah, it's getting there slowly. That's about it for the updates. I did get my Haltech. I went with the Elite 1500 ECU and then the IC7 dash. So big thanks to Haltech for helping support the build. They were huge help with my questions and kind of, I was unsure. It was between Haltech and FuelTech. If you've seen the new FuelTech stuff, a guy racing GLTC uses it and he really likes it. Most drag guys use it, but I kind of wanted to go with that. But after talking to my tuner and just talking with the Haltech guys a little bit, I decided that the Haltech unit was the way to go for me. Just ease of use and a lot of support behind it with the tuning and whatnot. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll get some more updates on this. Some parts are gonna roll in. The case-up kit should be here any day now, which I'm super, super excited for. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned.